Well, hi there. It is just gone 10:30 and time to show up. I'm showing up. I'm glad you showed up. I appreciate every single one of you. Do the little YouTube dance, like, comment, subscribe, all that happy horse shit, and let's shit in the box. Now, if you have been paying attention over the course of the past several months, you have watched me struggle with the absolutely stupid problem of I need to write some stuff in GDScript, and I don't want to. Because I'm a child. So what I've been doing for the past couple of months is I have been punishing myself. You start out by reasoning at yourself about it. Okay, you've always got that little inner child, and that inner child is like, I don't wanna. I don't wanna eat my vegetables. I don't wanna go to school. I don't wanna poop in the potty like a big boy. I just want to keep doing what I always done. And that child never goes anywhere. That child is in there. That child is going to be in there your entire goddamn life, and you are going to have to deal with them. And initially, you always try to be reasonable, and you say, look, okay, GDScript is the objectively correct choice for this. I mean, you've worked in probably 30 different programming languages at this point in your life, and all of them are fine, and a lot of them are, I mean, really, GDScript is certainly no worse than JavaScript or Go or PHP. Well, I don't like how there's syntactically significant white space in it, which reminds me of Python and of COBOL and having to start your stuff in a particular column. Yeah, but counterpoint, you know COBOL and Python. You use them. You have coded in both of these languages. You have indeed been paid professionally to write code in both of these languages. So there's no point. You understand that, right? There's no point in resisting this. You've done it before. You'll do it again. It's gonna happen. I don't wanna. Okay, well, no more guitar until you write the GDScript. That's fine. No more keyboard until you write the GDScript. That's fine. No more DJ console. All right, fine. No more sculpting. No more drawing. No more painting. Indeed, no more any creative outlet whatsoever until you write the GDScript. This is what you have to do. I don't want it, and you can't make me. Well, this weekend, I finally pulled out the nuclear option. I pulled out the nuclear option. I said, okay, buddy, no more Starfield. You can't do that. I'm just getting to the good part in the Crimson Fleet quest. I'm about to do the bit where I get ambushed by Ecliptic, and then I have the stealth mission through Star Station SY-930, and then that's the fun. That's the best part. No more Starfield. All right, fine. No more Starfield, but you're not going to tell me I can't play GTA Online when they're about to release a brand new DLC in just a couple of days. Wanna fucking bet? But you should at least let me, like, go finish that Cayo Perico heist so I get the $1 million bonus, and that'll make it easier to buy the art gallery for the mansion when... No GTA. In fact, no video games whatsoever unless they are something you can qualify as research for the current game. If you need to play a game to look at what it's doing so that you can plan out the GDScript for the menus, then you can play the game. But no fun games. No games for fun. No game that you're not working on. Guess what happened? Guess what I did? Go ahead. Guess. Guess what I did? I got the fucking menu written. You put enough pressure on yourself, you can do this. You have to keep putting the pressure on, and I'm not happy with this. I'm not happy with this at all, because I don't like the logo. I want the logo to be better. I need to improve it, but we are getting closer. We are getting somewhere with the game, and running it through the engine is not the best way to go about things, because because I am a Steam controller user, and if I want to use the controller configuration, then I have to use the Steam version that is exported and imported as a non-Steam game. Now, when you open the settings, it just says OK. There's no settings you could change. Quit doesn't work. Upgrade doesn't work, but play does. And it has the controller support. And you can see the guts of it. You can see the various things that you can do. Just basically walk around and blow up chests and blow up enemies, and you can collect gold from chests, and you can collect the panties from the enemies. And you can walk around, and you can see here the tree is partially transparent, so you can see yourself through it. You can walk right through the bushes, but not the trees. The trees will block you. The trunk of the tree will block you. You can walk behind it, but you can't walk through it. So there's no way to exit the game and go back to the menu. You just have to close it. But the menu is in. And we should talk a little bit about the menu, because this particular implementation of the menu it's better than what I was presented with, but it's still not perfect. Now, number one, you can see here, if we scroll in, you see that I don't have, when you hit run on this, okay? When you run it, you see that it's got the actual titles right here. Filthy Pervert Stole My Panties. And it says excuse me. It says the actual function of each button. But you'll notice that what it says in the editor is this code. It's got this uppercase code, the menu title, menu play, menu upgrade, menu settings, menu quit. And what is that? Well, when you really dig in here, you got the translations. This is a localized game. It only has one language, and that is English. But it is a localized game, which means when this gets closer to an actual full release, and I have a fairly complete set of tags and text to look at, I'll be able to hand this off to somebody who speaks a non-English language and have them add their native language to it. And I know a couple of people that'll be able to do that. I'm probably going to hand a copy of this off to a friend and have him do a Polish translation, because there are 3 particular markets that if you localize into their language, they will fall all over themselves buying your game. And those are Poland, Russia, and Brazil. If you localize into Polish, Russian, and Brazilian Portuguese, those markets will fall all over the place grabbing your game, because nobody localizes into those languages. It's not a common thing, and they really love having a game they can play in their native language. Just odd, because every Russian I've ever met has better English than I have Russian. And I don't even speak Polish at all. I only speak the smallest amount of Portuguese, but it's like Brazilians, Polish, Russians, they all speak English pretty damn well. At least all the ones I meet do. But and then obviously you got the other ones. Well, if you're not aware of that, there's French, Italian, German, and Spanish are like the big ones. Those are the big Romance languages. You need French, Italian, German, and Spanish along with your English. And you also probably need Chinese, Japanese, and Korean. Chinese is the big one, but if you localize to Chinese and you don't do Japanese and Korean, you're losing a lot of people. And then you've got Polish and Russian and Brazilian Portuguese. And if you just do, that's 11 languages. But if you just do those 11, you'll hit just about everybody that wants to play your game. It works. That's what you want to shoot for in your localization. There are probably a couple of other places that you'd want to hit. I'd really like there to be a 12th. So it's a dozen different languages, but, you know. Is there a 12th I'm missing? Something I'm forgetting about? I don't know. Maybe Arabic, but Arabic is a right-to-left language. The language runs in the opposite direction, so because of that, it's kind of frustrating to support. Anyway, when you look at this, you can see that the script for the main menu is like each button gets one line. The lines that don't work, they just say pass, and the lines that do work, they're get tree, change scene to file. But every place that I've seen talking about how to make a main menu, they change scene to file and they use the actual name of the file. Like this one would say settings.tscn. But it's better to use the UID for the file, because every scene file includes a UID within it. And if you move it anywhere in your file system, then as long as it's built into your game, the game can find it by UID, no matter where it is. And that makes it easier to reorganize and structure your game. So I've used UIDs instead of straight up scene names. But I still don't like this. I still don't like the way this is implemented. Settings is even simpler. Settings just has the one, but again, we're using the UID. That just loads back to the main menu. I don't like this because sometimes I am not going to be opening the settings dialog from the main menu. I don't want a separate clone of the settings dialog for when I open it from someplace else. That's a bad structure. So we're going to do that a little bit differently. And let's see, what else is there? Now I've done the localized bits of the menus, and I've done UIDs instead of file names, and I've got the very simple button pressed functions in here, and these are responded to up here in the top of the main menu. So at least it's the menu that knows what you're doing and not the individual buttons themselves. Like, that's good, I suppose, but I really don't like that. I really don't like the way this is built, because I would actually like it to be I would like it to be a different thing. And you can see I've been working on the sprite too. Things are coming together. I keep saying, I tell people that like there are these dams that need to break, and then the dam breaks and a whole lot of work gets done until I hit another block. And once I hit the other block, then it's just everything grinds to a halt, and who knows how long it's going to be ground to a halt. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about how things should be structured. Right now we've got the main menu. And that main menu is sitting there, and it's got these buttons. And whichever one of the buttons you press, it calls back to the main menu, and the main menu goes, oh, well, I need to load this other scene, like you load up the settings. And the settings has its controls on it. And when you do anything with the settings, it goes back to the settings and it says, hey, do a thing. And then the settings goes back to the main menu, but the main menu has to know about the settings dialog, and the settings dialog has to know about the main menu. I don't like that. I would like this to work a little bit differently. I want the main menu and the settings to have their little sets of controls that sit underneath of them, but over top of them, I want there to be a shell. And that shell's job is to know what scenes to load. It needs to know about the menu. It needs to know about the settings. It needs to know about the game. The game would be over here. And the game would have like its own set of stuff, but one of the things the game would have in it is you could pause. And when you pause, you would have a pause menu. And that would have some controls. And all of this would basically be the menu, the settings dialog, the pause menu, all of these are telling the shell, hey, I just got a command. And the command says, you know, open settings. So the pause menu could open the settings menu. Right now, the settings menu only knows how to go back to the main menu. How does it know to go back to the pause menu? Well, it doesn't. What the shell does is operate as a sort of state machine. So when you're in the pause menu, when you're playing the game and you're in the pause menu, you would have this little stack. It would go, okay, we're in the game. Okay, now we're in the pause menu. Okay? Actually, it would be a little bit different than that. It would be a little bit different than that. Why is my... God damn it. Hold on. My toolbox is not working for some reason. Let me scroll on down here. We're going to find Toolbox console. We're going to end that task. We're going to close that, and now we're going to open up, and we're going to say, yeah, run the Toolbox console. Get that fired up, and should connect, and now it's connected, and I can shut that down, and I can come over here. Okay, and now... There we go. Now it works. Okay, so what we'd actually have is we would have the main menu. So the main menu is where you'd start. And from the main menu, you would then start up the settings. And the settings would run kind of over top of the main menu. The menu would be hidden. And the settings would display. Okay? When you're done with the settings and you hit exit, you would just back up to the previous bit in the menu. And it would maintain that kind of stack. So you would have the menu, and when you said start game, it would run the game. And when you pause, it would go, okay, here's the pause menu over top of the game. Or maybe you bring up the map. You bring up the map sits over top of the game. The game is paused. You can do stuff on the map. When you're done doing stuff on the map, that backs up to the game. You pause again, you get the pause menu. If you pause, you get the settings menu. When you're done with the settings menu, you go back to the pause screen. When you're done with the pause screen, you go back to the game. When the game finishes, you go back to the menu. Well, actually, what probably happens is, when you finish the game, the end of the game sends you to a stats screen. And then that stats screen will take you back to the menu. And all of that will be managed by the shell. The shell would keep track of where you are and just kind of have those breadcrumbs for everything that you're doing and all of the places that you're going and what you're trying to do. But right now, we don't have any mechanism to do that because all of this stuff, the menu, the settings of the game, if you come over and you look inside of Godot, you look at the main game, our main screen, okay, if you look in the project settings, we go and look at the project settings and we go, okay, in general, we go the application, config, run. The main menu is our main scene. That's the scene that runs when you start it up. So this is all we have. When we start up the game, we just have the main scene right here, okay? And when we hit play, play switches us to the playfield scene. There's no mechanism right now for the playfield scene to go back to anything. I don't have any of that code in place. And it's the same thing with the settings. The settings don't know anything about the gameplay, you know, and we don't actually have any settings. So there's a whole lot of stuff that needs to be built in here, a whole lot of stuff that needs to work. There we go. 100%. That's where it needs to be. There's a whole lot of stuff that needs to be built in here and make it work the way that I want it to work. But this is all architecture based. And the actual scripting is not all that different. So what I've got right now is I have a quantity of the game that is written in C#, and I have a quantity of the game. I have a much smaller quantity of the game that is written in GDScript. And one of the things that I'm thinking about is I'm looking over this and I'm going, how much of this could I just re-implement in GDScript? And is that a smart thing to do? And one of the obvious arguments against that, a lot of people don't think this is an obvious argument, but it very much is. This code is already written, and it works. Do I have a good reason to get rid of this? And the reason is, and actually there is, I do need to hoist collect experience and collect gold into a higher object. I need to refactor the health into a health object. I need to refactor the inventory into an inventory object. And there's also, is it in here or is it in the enemy? I think it is in the enemy. If I jump over to the groper.cs file, then we've got, where is it? I've got something. Yeah, something somewhere that I wrote. It's just like, was it in Crossbow? It might have been in Playfield. Close a bunch of stuff up there. If I can, yeah, if I look in playfield.cs, there's a comment in here. I got a bunch of stuff that's hoisted to higher level object, alter for different levels, and to do add pause screen, hoist in a higher level object, a lot of stuff like this. Huh. Doesn't seem to be in here either. There was something, I think it was collectible. Terrible solution. Terrible solution. This shit is terrible, like objectively awful. It all needs to be redone. So yeah, basically the entire collectible script probably needs to be redone in GDScript because it's awful. And I've got so much stuff that needs to be hoisted into higher level objects. Well, why wouldn't I just write those higher level objects in GDScript instead of C#? If I've got to move something into a higher level object anyway, that makes sense, right? I certainly think it does. But I've got all of this stuff. I've got all of these things that need to be done, and I've got all of these things that I have been doing. And a lot of work is getting done here. Finally, we're actually seeing some progress on the game. And that's all through torturing and abusing myself and telling myself that I'm not allowed to do things until I do this first. Takes a long time. A lot of it is that, like, as you get older, your impression of how hard things are goes up because you're like, okay, I've seen stuff that looks easy before, and it's never as easy. It's never as easy as it looks. And that perception just goes higher and higher and gets stronger and stronger as you get older. But at the same time, you're becoming more experienced in doing stuff, and all of the stuff you do is actually getting easier. So you get to a point where the two things cross, and it's like, there's no way this is as easy as it looks. And not only is it as easy as it looks, it's easier. But your brain's fucking stupid. We're all stupid. We all make bad decisions. We all don't think clearly and don't do things the way that we ought to. So you have things that you ought to be doing and are not doing, and you think you have reasonable reasons for not doing them, and you don't. You're just being a fucking child. Or that's me anyway. I mean, maybe it's not you yet. It'll be you. It'll be you one of these days. But work is starting to get done. And a lot of this is a dam-breaking situation because I know the architecture of what I'm putting together is not good, and I need to improve the architecture. And once I get the architecture to a place where I'm like, this is solid, this feels good, this feels like something that's going to work, and I get something that's extensible and that will address problems I run into in the future, not just in this game, but in other games that I build in the future. As I progress further through this, I'm going to have a stronger and stronger framework, and that framework can serve as the basis for like one thing after another, after another, after another. And the idea is to get it to a point that I can crank out a playable, testable game in a few weeks. 6 to 8 weeks is the goal. And if I can crank out a complete playable game that's ready for people to test in 6 to 8 weeks, then I just put another 6 to 8 weeks on that, and every 3 to 4 months, I can have a game ready to go up for sale. That's the idea here anyway. And I've always been kind of working in this direction, trying to get to a point where I can have cool shit that I can put on sale every 3 to 4 months. The problem is that most of the stuff that I have historically done has an expiration date on it. Like, you tell people how to do something, and there are new versions. Like, all of the people that I saw tell you about here's how to do a menu, and they said here's how you do it. The reason they didn't talk about UIDs is we didn't have them until Godot 4.4. If you did your main menu tutorial in 4.3 or earlier, you didn't even know this was a thing, in all likelihood. So now that it's out, you've got all of these things that are suddenly giving you bad guidance. It's bad advice. But Only somebody who's learning the new guidance can tell you the new guidance. And that's the same kind of thing. These people made these tutorials, and those tutorials were great when they made them, and now they're dated. Now they have problems. Also, none of them have been doing localization. None of them have been talking about localization. And this mechanism is just really not good. It's not the way that a game ought to work. Quibble did this excellent tutorial on multi-threaded loading screens that I'm going to be spending some time looking at and messing with. But I'm also going through the documentation on that and the standards, and I'm looking at all of these things, and I'm looking at the demo projects, and a lot of the demo projects were written a really long time ago, and we have much better ways to do things now, and nobody's ever updated them. So that it's very much the same kind of thing you run into all the time with open source projects, because they automatically presume, well, if you're going to be serious about this, you're going to join the official community and engage with the people there. I don't want to. I don't want to engage with the official community, because when you engage with the official community, you have to deal with the hierarchy, and I don't like that. There's always a group of jackasses in any community that thinks it is a competition to try and steal their position at the top. And you can't be smart or insightful or experienced at anything and not have them push back on you, because shut up! We were here before you, dumbass! And it's not a competition. It's really not. Like, there are people who have been using Godot for a week, and they have learned something I don't fucking know. And I am here to learn whatever that thing is. And at the same time, there are people who have been using Godot for years, and they just never got around to using UIDs and never saw the point of it. And if I could tell them, here's why you use UIDs, they're probably going to fight me. They're probably going to say, well, that's not important because you should arrange your project better to begin with. You don't always know how you're going to arrange your product. Your project isn't going to stay static. You're going to improve it. You're going to make new changes. You're going to move things around. You're going to try to put things into places where it makes sense. Unless the only projects you're building are 5-file toys. And there's a lot of people who do nothing but that in a lot of these communities. At the top of these communities, you will often find somebody who has made 3,000 tiny little proof of concept projects, and they have never released shit. Not that I'm one to talk. I haven't released anything written in Godot, definitely. But at the same time, I have released games. I've released games. I've released commercial games. I've been paid for the games I released. I've been paid for other things I released. I've marketed things. I've built communities. I've run Discord servers. There's a lot of stuff that I've done, and this is just putting pieces together. I'm still figuring this puzzle out so I can get the pieces put together in the right order, but I have the pieces. I know how to make the pieces. And there's a lot of people that know how to put 5-piece puzzles together, and they see me working on a 150-piece puzzle and go, yeah, that's not how you do that. That's not how you do it either. There's a lot more than 5 pieces over here, and all of them are important. You can't isolate just 5 pieces and call it done. And as always, I've never released a game on Godot. I've never released a game on Steam. And building my first Grotto game on Steam that is on top of this my first ever roguelike and my first ever horde survival game and my first ever action arcadey kind of thing. There are a lot of firsts here. There are a lot of things that I'm doing here that I've never done before. And as a general rule, that's pretty dumb. You don't try to do 50 things you've never done before all at once. And if you do, it's going to take a long time. And for most of the process, most of the stuff you've done is going to be fucking garbage. I'm fine with that. So if you're looking at my game going, God, what a piece of crap. Yeah, it is. But it's playable. And I have set that timer on the level up to 20 minutes. And I have played the game for 20 minutes. And it's been a fun, engaging game for 20 minutes. Currently, I have it set to 30 seconds because I don't want to play for 20 minutes every fucking time. When I have implemented a pause menu that allows you to quit the game in the middle, then I'm going to set that timer back up. But for the moment, it just sits there at 30 seconds. And the game's not especially fun for 30 seconds, but after about 2 or 3 minutes, things start to get hectic, and it does start to get fun. It starts to be a pretty fucking cool game. So, yeah, that's an interesting thing to, it's an interesting thing to mess with. I need to figure out how I'm going to do keyboard controls on this and how I'm going to do mouse aiming and whether I'm going to do mouse only work and whether I'm going to do anything for touch screens. I got a lot of stuff I'm thinking about with this, but for the moment, I'm just going to go, you know what? It's designed for a controller. It's a controller-based experience. There is no reason why you don't have a controller at this point in gaming history. Just use a fucking controller. And yeah, that's where I am. That's the way that I am going about things. And as always, you know, do the little YouTube dance, like, comment, subscribe, all that happy horse shit. And, okay, bye.